In the moments before, on a hot summer day in Kenosha, Wisconsin, Blake had been celebrating his son Israel's birthday at the home of his son's mother, LaQuisha Booker.
He turned 8 years old that day. I'm cooking, just chilling, neighbors out, and ended up being an argument between my woman and the neighbor. I wanted to leave.
Booker didn't want him to leave with her rental car and called the police.
Today is his son's birthday, so I allowed him to spend a couple hours with him, but he's not giving me the keys to this rental, and that's all I'm asking for.
3 officers responded to what they thought was, quote, family trouble. Among them, 7-year veteran Officer Rustin Shesky.
Complainant says Jacob Blake isn't supposed to be there, and he took the complainant's keys and is refusing to give them back.
She decided that she didn't want me to take her car, the rental car. And I'm explaining to her, my truck is in the shop. So I decided not to give her the keys. It was in her name.
On the way to the scene, officers are told there's a warrant for Blake on domestic violence offenses and sexual assault.
We have an alert at this address for 99 for that subject.
What are you doing when they show up?
At that time, I'm walking out. I hadn't done anything, so I didn't feel like they were there for me.
Records show that Officer Shesky recalls telling Blake, quote, let's talk about this, as Blake places one of the kids in the car. He then tells Blake he has a warrant and tries to arrest him.
They didn't say why they were there?
They didn't say anything to me.
Did they tell you that they had a warrant for your arrest?
No, I thought that it had been over with.
Police deploy a stun gun multiple times. Blake pulls the prongs out of his skin. Officer Shesky and Blake end up in a physical altercation on the ground.
We see you walk away from the officers after they try to grab you.
At that point, I'm rattled, I realized I had dropped my knife. I had a little pocket knife. So I picked it up after I got off of him because they tased me and I fell on top of him. Kids was in there, probably face on the window. I'm about to get in here and check on my kids. In the video, you hear them saying, drop the knife. I think a couple people were saying that, but I didn't hear none of that.
Blake turns away from the officers and walks around the front of the vehicle towards the driver's side door.
What are you thinking at that point?
I had picked my knife up. I'm not really worried. I'm walking away from them, so it's not like they're gonna shoot me. I shouldn't have picked it up. At that time, I wasn't thinking clearly.
You said that we can just look at the video, and the video tells everything. Well, there are gonna be a lot of people who look at the video and say, in the video, you're walking away from the police. So why didn't he just stop and do what the police are asking him to do?
I couldn't hear that. All I heard was screaming. My ears was ringing, so it was all muffled.
If the police were fighting me, if they were tasing me, I would stop walking away from them, and they would have my attention.
And when they tased me, I had my hands up. So.
Officer Shesky's attorney insists, quote, the officers were compelled to use force once Blake began actively resisting their verbal commands, adding that the claim the officers didn't say anything to him during the altercation is, quote, preposterous. As Blake opens the door of the car, Officer Shesky claims Blake drove the knife toward his body. Blake denies this. Officer Shesky then grabs Blake by the back of his shirt and shoots him 7 times.
Put my hands up because I didn't want him to shoot me in my face or in my head or nothing. So at that time, I put my arms up, and he just kept shooting.
What's going through your mind?
My babies are right here, my babies. So after he stopped shooting me, I said, Daddy, love you, no matter what. It was the last thing I said to them at that point. I thought it was going to be the last. I thought it was going to be the last thing I say to them. Thank God it wasn't.
So this is the response from one of the comments ABC posted when they were doing their interview with Jacob Blake. Welcome to 2021, when every criminal who run away, resist arrest, attack the police is painted as innocent and angelic. So I like this response. In response, is coming from Tierra Smith. I don't think it's about them being painted as innocent. but rather the police are not being held accountable for when they misuse their power. I find it scary that someone can call the cops on another human being, and if that person argues with the cop or walks away from them, then that cop can shoot them dead because they were resisting arrest or being difficult. It's about the lack of respect for human lives. They might as well be called murderers if it's so easy for them to shoot somebody dead without question. Though I do see that it's really extreme for a cop to just shoot somebody in the back 7 times. Not just once, just 7. And then they get off with a slap on the wrist, essentially. Now, don't get me wrong. I would like to see the whole story, especially with the police cam, where we can see what exactly happened. Get the audio, get the video. That way we're not having an egg on our face like George Floyd. I would have liked to have seen a trial where these cops are basically put on trial, especially the one that shot him 7 times in the back. Let's air that out. But no, you let this cop have a slap on the wrist. Paid leave. You got to be fucking kidding me. If you have nothing to hide, let's just put it in trial or put out the video. Okay, that way we have the full story. Hey, this is what happened. We saw this, we saw that. We have witnesses that can corroborate your story. That can explain the 7-time shot in his back. But for right now, I see an abuse of power like these fucking cops have right now. Especially when you silence parents for standing up for their kids. When you try to preach CRT. Or arrest a father when some rapist goes into their washroom pretending to be a girl. We're not going to even put any pretenses here. That kid is transsexual. He's a rapist. You arrest him, but you let go this rapist. I don't like that double standard. So cops do need to be put at a higher standard. Especially when a cop rustles down somebody who doesn't want to wear a fucking mask for a false plague. Or it's killing everybody. 12 people? 2 people? Really? You have more deaths with the damn vaccine, this little made up fucking serum by President Cracker, than this COVID variant crap. But we have to believe everybody that's put in power. When you can rustle down somebody for not wearing a mask, refusing to bow down to your bullshit, or shoot somebody 7 times in the back, you cops do need to put a higher standard. Enough said.